there seems to be concessions for everyone except Christians, who read our Bibles, who pray, who worship God, who go to church on Sundays. There seems to be concessions for everyone except them. Or if you're a straight white male, that's like the worst thing you can be, a straight white male, because there's nothing you can claim to say, hey, listen, I've got this victimhood. I was speaking to my grandfather one day, and he said that this new woke definition, this new, what's going on, seems to be worshiping the point of victimhood to the point where you're doing everything you can to be one. And it seems like that's what we're going towards nowadays. Being a victim is the easiest thing in the world because nothing's your fault. You're a victim. It's not your fault that this is going on. And everyone wants to be a victim somehow. And I think that's what we're pushing towards. And it's one of the things I preach against. Stop seeing yourself as a victim. You're not a victim. You're a victor. Go out there and act like one.
Welcome to the Michele Tafoya podcast.
So that man that you're going to hear from today is Zeek Arkham. This is his second appearance on the podcast because we just think he's phenomenal. You can find him on X at Zeek, Zeek, Arkham, Arkham. And he is worth the follow. And his following has gone up exponentially since the first time we had him on. He speaks in a way that is honest, authentic, brave, unafraid of the feedback. And he backs the blue because he was part of the police. And he doesn't go with Black Lives Matter. He goes hashtag all lives matter. You're going to want to hear from him. We're going to talk about the election. We're going to talk about victimhood in America. We're going to talk about toxic masculinity. And you're going to love him. You're going to fall in love with this man if you haven't already. And another thing you can fall in love with is XXXY Athletics. Jennifer Say, another good friend of the show, started this company. You may know her name because she used to be the president of Levi's. But that relationship changed once she started advocating for schools to reopen in the Bay Area, really nationwide. She said, why are we keeping kids out of school during COVID? There's no proof that this is helpful. And kids in the inner cities are losing ground. And she was right, but she was vilified for it. Well, so that ended her relationship with Levi's. She moved to Colorado. She's been a staunch supporter of women's gymnastics, and she was outspoken about the abuse women's gymnasts were going through. She was vilified for it until she was proven right. She's finally started her own company, XXXY Athletics, and this stuff is high quality, great looking. You've got to check it out. And if you use the code Michele75, you'll get free shipping on orders of $75 or more. XX-XYathletics.com. You got to put that dash in there when you go look for it online. XX-XYathletics.com. The best thing is you'll be supporting something that aligns with your values. She very much believes that women's sports belong to biological women. Thus, the XX-XYathletics.com. Use the code Michele75. Now, stick around because you will not want to miss a word from Zeek Arkham. He is next. Zeek, it's great to see you again. Since the last time we spoke, it's probably been at least a year, but your following on X has gone up tremendously. What do you think's going on there?
I think people just want the truth nowadays. There's so much going on out there. There's so many lies. There's so much inauthenticity. People just want someone who's going to bring it straight, and that's something I pride myself on. I always say my tweets are me. It's like you're sitting in the room with me, and I'm speaking to you, and we're just going back and forth, having a beer, having a drink, just watching TV. I'm probably worse in real life, honestly. If
we all are.
Yeah,
we all are.
Yeah, if you talk to me, I'm pretty filtered on X, but in real life, some of the stuff that comes out of my mouth, even I say to myself, "Oh wow, that was kind of." I probably shouldn't have said that, but I think people really just want someone who's going to bring it to them straight. In this day of wokeism. In this day of political correctness, the overabundance of political correctness, in this day of everything being sugar-coated because you don't want to offend anyone, you don't want to hurt their feelings. Those of us on X who bring it to you straight, who tell the truth, who really just want a return to normalcy. Yeah. Not even in the country, just in society in general, who just want to return to normalcy. We don't have to tiptoe around everyone's feelings. Those of us, we're being, we become attractive to people. I think that's what people want.
I think you're spot on with that people want to be around you because they know they can also talk the way that they want to talk when they're engaged with you. And I do think people are starting to get exhausted. I feel as though we are at a moment where we might be at a tipping point where people are tired of tiptoeing and they're tired of saying, yes, you progressive left, everything you say is so empathetic and correct that I'm just going to nod along and I'm going to keep my mouth shut. I think people are tired of being preached at. How much of a tipping point do you think we're at, or do we still have a ways to go?
I think we're at a tipping point. I think it's to the point you've got what I call the extreme left, who everything is a pronoun, everything is, you have to, it's everything inclusive. You've got to have a category for this, and then within that category, a subcategory for that. And it just gets to the point people are like, okay, I'm not a hateful person. I'm not a bigot. I just want everybody to live their lives and be happy. However, where does my happiness begin? Why do I have to tiptoe around everything? Why do I have to, if I say something innocuous, why is it, this is offensive because you can't say this?
All right.
People grew up fine, just being friends with people, playing with the kids on the block, going to the park, going to school, and everybody treated everyone as equals. You made fun of who you wanted to make fun of. You were friends with who you wanted to make fun of, and everything was okay. Now you've got this overabundance of, this is a specialty category here. We have to have a month for this, or we have to have a week for this, a day for this. I think we're at a tipping point. And I think that's why certain candidates just become way more attractive to other people because they want that return to normalcy. And I think that's what people are hungry for.
We're going to get to those candidates in a minute. And because I want to tease people to have them stick around and hear you talk about this. But one of the things you were talking about recently on X was masculinity and what it really means. And we've had to endure these accusations of toxic masculinity from this, I would argue, not even the extreme left. I would argue just the left. I have friends who have said to me, that they see toxic masculinity. And I want to say, I see toxic femininity out there too. I see toxic humanity. This is not something that's, limited to men. How do you define masculinity?
Masculinity to me is just being a man, an adult human male. You go out there, you get things done. You protect your family. You protect the people around you. If people need help, you go out there, you help them out. If your buddies need help moving their stuff, you're out there with them. If someone if someone is even if something as small as if they're too drunk and need a ride home, you're there for them. I always say, hey, listen, I'm toxic masculinity. That's me. I'm a proud toxic masculinity male. But as I said last night, when people need help, I'm the first one they call. When my family needs help, they call me. When my daughter's going out with one of her friends and I'm taking them to the bounce house or to the park, whatever, they look at me and they say, you know what? My daughter's going to be safe with him. Yeah. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of being a toxic masculinity male because that means that I'm going to get stuff done. That means that people feel safe around me. That means that when jobs need to be done, they know he's going to do it the right way. So, I tell men all the time, be proud of who you are. Stand in your strength. Stand in your masculinity. You don't have to be one of these new age males who, you're walking around with a purse or a handbag. Hey, listen, if you want to walk around with a purse or a handbag, go for it. Be proud of that person, that handbag. But if you're a traditional male, if you're like what I call an old school tough guy,
yeah,
don't be forced into that. You don't have to walk around with a purse or a handbag just to feel like you're being inclusive, or you have someone who isn't a man telling you how to be a man. Just be proud of who you are, stand in your strength. And that's really all I preach every day.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting, these gender roles in society. I'm not even going to limit it to America. You're right. It's a lot of the West. I would say you're not going to see a lot of this in the East, and certainly not in the Middle East. And we know what happens to people in the Middle East if they show up being a gender other than the one with which other than the sex with which they were born, not assigned, but born due to their chromosomes. It really has gone pretty far. And I wonder what's trying to be achieved here. It seems to me to be beyond empathy. If you misgender someone, you're treated like a criminal. What do you think? A lot of people talk about social Marxism, and I tend to agree. It's changing the language, changing what is obviously real to all of us into something that's more political and more authoritarian. You must call me by these pronouns. You must call me by my new name. All of those things. It feels really authoritarian to me. What does it feel like to you?
Oh, it's absolutely authoritarian. My mom, who is a Baptist pastor, always said, God doesn't make mistakes. God made you, and God made you fearfully and wonderfully. And I believe that. So, you have people who are saying now God made mistakes. I feel like this. You know what? I think I was born a cat. You raise your son to be a man, and one day he puts on the tail and puts on some cat ears and goes, "Hey, Dad, I'm a cat." And he goes to school, and now the teacher is forced to give him a litter box. So now he's sitting in the litter box with all the other kids in class, and we have to accept this. This is okay. This is okay. You have people who, my pronouns are Zim, yeah. And you have to refer to me as that. Okay, well, I don't know how to say Zim in regards to just regular conversation, so, yeah. You're going to have to educate me on that one. I think it's gone way too far. I think you have this, this extreme left and people on the left who are afraid because, they want to be inclusive. I don't want to be seen as hateful or a bigot, so, they cater to all of this. And, I stand firm in my beliefs. I'm a Christian. I read the Bible. There seems to be concessions for everyone except Christians, who read our Bibles, who pray, who worship God, who go to church on Sundays. There seems to be concessions for everyone except them. Or if you're a straight white male, that's like the worst thing you can be, a straight white male, because there's nothing you can claim to say, hey, listen, I've got this victimhood. I was speaking to my grandfather one day, and he said that this new woke definition, this new, what's going on, seems to be worshiping the point of victimhood to the point where you're doing everything you can to be one. And it seems like that's what we're going towards nowadays. Being a victim is the easiest thing in the world because nothing's your fault. You're a victim. It's not your fault that this is going on. And everyone wants to be a victim somehow. And I think that's what we're pushing towards. And it's one of the things I preach against. Stop seeing yourself as a victim. You're not a victim. You're a victor. Go out there and act like one.
So when you listen to Zeek Arkham, you appreciate free speech even more, don't you? I mean, God bless the First Amendment. We get to say all this stuff with no repercussions from really anyone. I mean, you can turn it off, but let me tell you this is at the heart of our democracy, this principle we hold sacred, free speech, because it's the cornerstone that supports every freedom we cherish. But in this digital age we're living in, discussions about our wealth, our rights, and our future are being silenced or overshadowed in mainstream narratives. And that leaves a lot of people feeling like they don't have a voice in the conversations that are crucial to our financial independence and security. And this is where wealth protection research steps in. They are armed with a mission that's never been more critical. Wealth Protection Research is not a financial advisory firm. They're defenders of free speech. They're committed to giving a voice to the silenced. Wealth Protection Research tirelessly seeks out financial experts. These are the voices that challenge prevailing narratives, especially as we navigate the uncertainties of the 2024 election. Wealth Protection Research has created a 2024 election wealth protection report. Now, this is a free report that highlights the 3 best ideas for protecting and growing your money heading into the 2024 election. It contains ideas the mainstream media won't touch, and listeners can get it completely free. Text IDEAS to 76626 to claim your free copy. If you believe in the sanctity of free speech and the importance of financial freedom, act now. Text IDEAS to 76626 to claim your free copy of this 2024 election protection report. It's time to widen the scope of what we're told, to hear the ideas the establishment doesn't think you can handle, but you can, and take control of our financial destinies. Text IDEAS, IDEAS, to 76626 to claim your free copy now. Well, Zeke, you brought up the word candidates, and so I'm going to let you go on this topic. In about a week, I'm going to Philadelphia. I'm going to be with Byron Donalds and Wesley Hunt of Texas. And we're going to talk about how Black men may break for Trump in this election and may decide this election one way or the other. What when I bring that up, what comes to mind for you?
Well, I'm a big fan of Byron Donalds. I'm a big fan of Wesley Hunt. And I agree. I think people are tired, especially Black men are tired. And I keep saying, listen, over the past 4 years, we're not dumb. As much as the Biden administration tries saying, oh, look at how great your life is. You know, hey, look, you saved a whole 15 cents this year on groceries. Yeah, we did that. Oh, look at the pumps. You know, you might be paying more at the pumps, but, you know, at least you feel good about paying more at the pumps or whatever lies he puts out there. You know, no one feels good about paying way more money for the pumps or way more money for groceries or way more money on their mortgage or anything else, inflation, their dollar's not going as far. No one feels good about that. No one at all. And you can't look someone in the face and tell them, hey, your life is better now than it was 4 years ago. And I think Black men are really especially picking up that message. You know, we're looking at our wallets and going, you know, my dollar's not going as far. We're listening to the messages that are being put on TV and saying, yeah, but none of that applies to us. Mm-hmm. We're also looking at what they're saying and what they're not saying, some of these left-leaning candidates. Like when you have the governor of New York say, oh, you know, kids in the Bronx don't even know the word computer. And I pretty much, in 2024, I'm pretty sure everyone knows what a computer is. But that's just, you know, her mindset. That's how she thinks. Or when you have Joe Biden bringing fried chicken to a Black family, and everyone's going, wait, huh? You know, it just everyone's.
I think I missed that one. What happened there?
Oh, he it was another photo opportunity where he wanted to sit down with a family to show that he's sort of an everyman sort of president. And he sat down with a Black family. And he brought them all fried chicken, and he brought a burger for himself. And I mean, it's just it's just the stereotype. Everybody kind of went, you know. So
yeah. But then, you know, so why are Black men and Black women so different on this? Because it really seems, I am one of those people, I don't like to lump people into categories. I don't like to say all women think alike, all Latinas think alike. But it does seem to me that at least what I'm hearing is that you think differently from most Black women that I speak to or hear from.
I think the message is getting there, but it's getting there slowly towards Black women. And I mean, that's something you'd have to really just examine within certain elements of the quote unquote Black culture. Mm-hmm. I believe, you know, you'd have to just look at how the messaging is received, who it's being brought to. You know, I always said indoctrination cuts across different people differently. And Black women have been raised for a long time to believe you don't need a man, you can do bad all by yourself. You can get out there and there's nothing a man can do for you that you can't do for yourself. And I think that's part of the reason why black men are getting so fed up with the messaging. We saw what was going on with BLM. Their mantra right there in the first paragraph says that women are the head of the household. So, I think black men are looking at that messaging and going, well, we're tired of being treated within the black community as sort of second-class citizens. And I think for women, it's going to be a little tougher to receive that message because you're going to have to accept the fact that men and women have different roles. My mom was a single mom. There are things that she couldn't do for me as a mom just because she's not a man. She can't teach me the finer elements of being a man because she's not one. She's looking at it from her point of view, which might not be the right point of view. I have a daughter. There's certain things I can't teach her because I'm not a woman. There's only things I can look at and go, well, maybe you could do this or maybe this could happen, but I can't teach her. She needs her mom. So, I mean, there's the messaging just has to be more consistent. The messaging from the right has to be, you can't be afraid to give that message. And I believe in time it will start taking hold. And I believe in time it will start being accepted. And I believe in time people are going to come around.
It's interesting because it almost does feel like we're on this precipice, right? We're on the edge of this cliff where we could go either way. And I agree with you. I was fortunate enough to have both parents in my house. Sometimes that was great. Sometimes I hated them both as a teenager. But I'm so grateful in looking back. And I'm grateful that I have a husband who is really involved in our family. And he came from that same sort of background. I think of Fonnie Willis saying, a man isn't a plan, he's a companion. Well, and then you've got someone like Tony Dungy, a Hall of Fame NFL coach, who preaches you need fathers in the home. And the statistics bear that out, right? The statistics show that when there is a father and a mother in the home, kids are more likely to get through their education. They're less likely to wind up in jail. All of these things that statistics, and it's not just a little, it's overwhelming. And I just wonder why, but you've touched on culture and you've touched on indoctrination. But we see the results. I'm concerned that we don't go over the precipice and that we can pull back to a little bit of the traditional values that this country was really built around, which is, yes, you had single moms like your mom. I admire the hell out of her because what she did was not easy. I think if she could have had the partner that she wanted to help raise her children, she would have had that. It's not to say that you can't do it alone. It's just really hard and things do get missed.
Well, I mean, when you look at history, I'm a big fan of history. I read a lot of Thomas Sowell, who delves a lot into history.
Yes, sir.
When you look at post-Civil War black families, where they had two-parent households, black families in the height of racism. I'm talking about real racism, not, someone doesn't like you. Oh, it's racism. No, I'm talking about real racism. When you look at these two-parent households, black families did well. They were making money. They were opening businesses within, within the black community, obviously, but they were opening up businesses. They were making money. They were, the black men were going out and getting jobs. The women were taking care of the household. They were working as partners. They were doing well. And then the government got involved, then the Civil Rights Act became involved. Then, affirmative action got involved. And then all of a sudden, women started, that's when the messaging started, I don't need a man in the household. And that's where the harm came in. And you can look at the numbers and you can see the success of the black community started to decline after the government got involved. So, I mean, you can clearly see the numbers and see where the decline started. And you can see how things happened. And we need to get back to that. We need to get back to two-parent households. We need to get back to having fathers involved, not only in their households, but in the community. There will be a bigger success rate within the black community. And I put that in quote unquote because I don't believe there's a quote unquote black community. But, you look at black families across America and you could say that's a community. There'll be a higher success rate within that community. Listen, I live on Long Island. And there are way more two-parent households out here. And you can see the success rate. It's not a mystery. You can see how the kids are doing better in school. You can see how the parents are more involved. You can see how even at my daughter's little dance competitions, the fathers are there, and we're keeping an eye out. We're watching everyone. Because we're standing guard over not only our daughter, but everyone else's daughters. Yeah. So I mean, it's there, and within the Black community, they need to get back to that, or else they're going to fail over and over again.
So one thing Zeek Arkham doesn't say in this interview is what a great griller he is. I've heard it on really good authority. So I'm thinking he needs something from besthotgrill.com. Besthotgrill.com. There's a lot of special events coming up soon, and besthotgrill.com recommends the gifts of great grilling and healthy eating. So if you've got someone like Zeke in your life, or a mom, dad, or grad you want to honor, do it with a gift that will be used, will be unforgettable, and will be truly hot. And that would be a Solaire infrared grill from besthotgrill.com. Solaire infrared grills heat up to 1,000 degrees in just 3 minutes. I'm not kidding. And they produce juicy, tasty food unmatched by conventional grills. I'm telling you, I have one, I know. You might also be taken to the road or having a staycation. Solaire has hot and fast portable, built-in, and cart models to help you step up your grilling, no matter what your situation is. All Solaire infrared grills are made in the USA. Woohoo! And they're built to last. More importantly, Solaire infrared grills deliver the wow that everyone likes to receive as a gift or a major purchase. Learn more about the amazing Solaire infrared grills at besthotgrill.com, besthotgrill.com. Solaire infrared gift giving at besthotgrill.com. Recently, and you probably saw this or saw snippets of it, Charlemagne the God, the very, very popular radio host, was on with The View. And he said both candidates are trash, but he believes that one is going to threaten democracy. And just within a few minutes of our conversation here this morning, I saw Robert De Niro on the streets of New York talking about how if Donald Trump gets elected, he will never leave office. Now, I don't know if Robert De Niro understands that there are 3 branches of government that can hold one branch accountable. I don't know logistically how he honestly sees that happening. I'd like someone to press him on that, but of course nobody did. But when you look at this election and you hear someone like Charlemagne the God, who sort of regrets having endorsed Biden the last time, but it kind of seems like he's going to keep voting for Biden. What goes through your mind?
Well, Charlemagne, to me, lost all credibility when Joe Biden came on his show, looked him in his face, so to speak. I know it was over Zoom, but looked him in his face and said, if you're a black man or if you're a black person, you can't decide whether or not you're going to vote for me. You ain't black. And Charlemagne sat there and laughed and took it and didn't push him on it, didn't shake his head, nothing.
What would you have said?
I would have told him, you don't get to define that. And I would have told him, I would have gone off on him. A, you don't get to define that. And B, what's your definition of blackness then? Joe Biden, who doesn't have the best history when it comes to race relations in the first place. His own vice president called him a racist. How do you define being black then? Joe Biden? I would have called him to the carpet on that one. But Charlemagne sat there and went, oh, hey, look at you. And let it go. So to me, Charlemagne has lost all credibility when it comes to that. Larry Elder called him out on that when he went on his show. But listen, I have a hard time taking any Hollywood actor seriously when they sit on their golden towers and on their ivory towers, and they get to say, oh, Donald Trump, if he wins, this is going to happen. And Donald Trump. Well, then if that's the case, why didn't Trump do this in his first term? He was president already.
Yeah.
He
tried. In a way, you could say he tried like hell to hold on, and it didn't work.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he didn't concede the election. He left office. but he left office. He didn't sit there. He didn't order anyone to form a barricade and keep him in office. I get into debates on Twitter all the time with other black folks saying, "Oh, if Trump wins, he's gonna reenact slavery. He's gonna do this. He's gonna get rid of this amendment." And I go, "Well, then why didn't he do that when he was in office? Why is the first thing he did, even before he got into office, was meet with black leaders and ask them, what do you need? Why is the last thing he did before he left office was meet with Ice Cube to try to get Ice Cube's platinum plan for the black community going? Why he fund HBCUs? No one can really tell me what Donald Trump did that was so racist and so egregious towards black folk, unless they go back in the 70s to talk about a case where it was settled out of court. So you have all these people who are presenting these doom and gloom scenarios if Donald Trump gets elected, and it's like, okay, but he had the opportunity to do all that, and he did the exact opposite. So the fear mongering, the lying, the cheating doesn't work on me. None of it.
Fear mongering is the right term, I think, because this is the problem, because we don't teach civics and history and government enough in this country. People don't understand that you can't get rid of an amendment as the president of the United States. It doesn't work that way. You can't just go to the Constitution and go, I'm going to cross this one out. Everybody pay attention and everyone obey. No, the Supreme Court would strike it down in an instant. I mean, I'm baffled that someone who, I don't think Robert De Niro is that intelligent, frankly, based on his statements, but he's been around a long time. You would think he would know better, but this is fear mongering, isn't it? I think that's all that this is to scare the hell out of people. I mean, he's going to kill people. De Niro's saying stuff like he's going to kill people. He's going to ruin the world. Not just New York, not just the country, but the world. I don't know anyone outside of maybe, divine, or whatever God you believe in, that can have that kind of control over the world.
Well, I put out a tweet the other day that said that, actually yesterday, that said that in order for us to make Biden look bad, what we have to do is play unedited video, and he'll make himself look bad.
Yeah.
For Trump, in order for them to make him look bad, they've got to, it's got to be a 10-second clip where the context isn't there, or they've got to, the person who was sitting next to him, whose cousin was a roommate in college, said that he said this. and okay, well, do we have video of him actually saying it? No, but I believe that he said it because he said it. It's got to be, they've got to find someone who's got their own checkered past and their own checkered history and their own issues with truth telling. To come, 2:00 in the morning, Donald Trump did this. Then it becomes a news story. Yeah. Meanwhile, Biden and the Democrats go out and they say stuff and it's ignored because the news is actively trying to suppress it. If Donald Trump had come out and said, hey, kids in the Bronx don't know what a computer is, it would have been on CNN for a week. And they would have brought in every expert and every panelist, and they would have gone to the Bronx and they would have found anyone they could to say, I know what a computer is. Donald Trump is just a racist, that's all. But Donald Trump says none of that. And they still try to paint him as some sort of raging modern-day Klansman who is marching across the country trying to pick up, skinheads and white voters to go out there and start some sort of race war. That's not happening. So, those of us who actually read and those of us who actually are educating ourselves and don't take anything for face value, the fear-mongering isn't working on us. And it's not going to work on us because we educate ourselves and we know what the truth is. And I think that's what frustrates people about people like me, because it's not going to work. And I'm going to be unmoved by anything they say.
So you think you frustrate some people? I think that's great. Do you honestly think that you frustrate some people?
I get between my DMs, between some of the responses I get on Twitter, I definitely frustrate a lot of people.
What does that do to you? Your mindset, your sense of well-being, all of that. How does it impact you?
I think it's hysterical. I laugh every time I get a hate DM. I look at it and I laugh. I get hate DMs that range from, hey, listen, just as a black man to a black man, I just want to talk to you. and to people who I really wonder if they've passed basic elementary school as they're typing this DM, because I have to sit and I have to actually decipher what they're trying to say to me, and between all the threats and everything that they're trying to put in this DM, I'm just thinking to myself, our education system has failed this person.
Well, there's no question. Do you get threats, Zeke? Do you get threats?
I get threats, yeah. I get people wanting to fight me, asking me to drop my location so that they can come to my house and put their dukes up. I get all of that. And I take it as a badge of honor, honestly, because if I'm making people mad, I'm making them think. Yeah. So I take it as a badge of honor. So it amuses me. My wife gets scared. she gets more worried than I do, and I tell her, hey, listen, I face this stuff all the time. I'm cool. I'm good with it.
Yeah. It is remarkable. One of the things you said I want to touch on here, and then I've got two questions for you. When you watch certain stations, certain networks, certain news networks, you get one opinion. When you watch another, you get almost the complete reverse. And I have conversations with friends of mine who say, oh, but didn't you see how that one witness in the Trump trial just went ballistic on the stand and he made the judge clear the court? And I'm sort of saying, well, he didn't go ballistic on the stand. It was sort of the judge who got a little touchy with, I've seen this guy speak in front of Congress, So we're getting two very different viewpoints of the same incident. How one anchor can come out and say, well, yeah, Michael Cohen stole from Trump, but it's because he thought he deserved it. It was the bonus he never got. I mean, like, it's okay. So I just wonder, where can we go to get straight answers, to get straight facts anymore? Who do you think we can trust?
Honestly, I think social media is key in that, because you have people who have a little bit more insight. It's just a matter of you really just trying to dig into what they're saying. I worked in law enforcement for 18 years. I'm pretty good at picking apart all of the fluff, all of the disingenuous statements that come across, and I get straight to the point. And you can usually see what the point is behind all of what they're saying. They're trying to say, oh, well, I did this and Trump loaned this and I took this, and you pull it apart and you go, okay, well, there's no crime there, or so what you're telling me is Trump had no idea you did any of this and you did it on your own, or you tend to pull everything apart. Mm-hmm. When you look at one media station and they're telling one side of the story, and you look at another media station, they're telling the other side of the story, sometimes the truth is right there in the middle, and you really just have to filter it out, which is why I encourage everyone, don't take my word for what happened, because, I'm biased. I admit it. I'm biased. Don't take someone else's word. Do your own research. Get out there. If you feel so passionately about something, get out there, do your research, read. We have the entire library of Alexandria right here in our phones. Utilize it. Google, DuckDuckGo, they're all free.
Yeah.
Utilize it, So get out there, do your own research, and come to an educated conclusion. Don't use my opinion as gospel, because it's not. I get it wrong every now and again. Just go out there, do your research. You will be a much better informed person, and the fear mongering, the tactics won't work on you, because you'll be armored.
So what's at the heart of democracy? Keep talking about the threats to democracy. Threats to free speech threaten democracy more than anything else. Free speech is the cornerstone of every other freedom that we cherish. But we're living in a digital age, and let's be honest, discussions about our wealth, our rights, our future, well, they're being silenced or muted in mainstream narratives, and that leaves a lot of you feeling like you don't have a voice in conversations that are crucial to your independence, your financial independence, and your security. And this is where Wealth Protection Research steps in. They are armed with a mission that's never been more important. Wealth Protection Research is not a financial advisory firm. They're defenders of free speech. They are committed to giving a voice to those who've been silenced. Wealth Protection Research tirelessly seeks out financial experts. These are the voices that challenge prevailing narratives, especially as we navigate the uncertainties of the 2024 election. Wealth Protection Research has created this guide. It's called the 2024 Election Wealth Protection Report. It's free. It highlights the 3 best ideas for protecting and growing your money heading into the November election. It contains ideas the mainstream media doesn't touch. And listeners can get it completely free, as I've said, just by texting the word ideas to 76626. That'll get you your free copy. If you believe in the sanctity of free speech, as you know I do, and the importance of financial freedom, then act now. Text IDEAS, IDEAS, to 76626 to get your free copy of this 2024 Election Protection Report. It's time to widen the scope of what we're told. It's time to hear the ideas the establishment doesn't think you can handle, but you know darn well you can, and to take control of our financial destinies. Text IDEAS, IDEAS, to 76626 to claim your free copy now. All right, before we finish up, I always like to talk about being brave and doing good. Be brave, do good should probably be the name of this podcast, but we'll get there. What do you think is the most brave move you ever made?
Wow. Being able to put my own biases aside when I was in my 20s and really start looking at the truth. In college, I fell for the liberal trap. I was actually a pretty big time liberal by the time I graduated from college. I was conservative, but didn't know it. I was raised in a church. I was raised as a Christian. My mom did a whole lot of praying for me because I was a hard-headed kid. But
no.
Oh yeah. Mama Arkham had to be strict. But in college, I was pretty hard-headed. And I was a liberal, and I had people I spoke to who always encouraged me to really read and just get myself educated, and don't be educated by what a professor told me. Be educated by my own material. And I started reading, and I got into law enforcement, and I said I'm going to blow this whole thing open. I'm going to expose the racism in law enforcement. I'm going to be right there in the front line saying, yep, it's racism. I'm going to get in there. I'm going to change the system from the inside. And I really got to hang around cops. I got to hang around people who supported cops. I got to hang around people who hated cops. And I got to learn the truth. And the bravest thing I think I could say I ever did was learn the truth and learn it for myself. I would also say the bravest thing I ever did was become a dad, become a father, become a husband, because none of that is easy. So for all the parents out there, or all the husbands out there, all the wives out there, trust me, you're doing something brave, because it's not easy to be with someone else who has their own thoughts, their own opinions, their own mindset, and the two of you have to get together and make it work. My granddad just celebrated his 69th wedding anniversary.
Wow.
And my grandmother was a Spitfire. My grandmother never made 5 feet tall. I think my grandmother right now is 4'10" and a half. But she is the fieriest woman I know.
Oh
she's got Alzheimer's now, and my granddad's there taking care of her. And he said he's going to hold her hand until the very end. So listen, for all you dads out there, all you wives out there, all you husbands out there, trust me, sticking it through and saying, I'm going to be with you to the end is an act of bravery.
That is so amazing. I completely agree with you. And then if you wanted, I always say do good as well, because I think doing a little act of good can help counterbalance the evil that is clearly, it's all around us. So if you could ask people to do something good from your perspective, what would it be?
Take care of those who can't take care of themselves. Like I said, my granddad, he's taking care of my grandmother. He's 91 years old, and he's determined he's going to take care of his sweetheart until the very end. He all he talks about is he just wants to hold her hand. That's his bride. That's his sweetheart. He still calls her his sweetheart. After 69 years of marriage, he still calls her that. I'm big into Big Brother programs. I don't have the time to do it, but when I did have the time to do it, I was out almost every day, just trying to talk to kids, just trying to let them know, hey, listen, there are people in your corner. You don't have to go face a gang. You don't have to go live a life of crime. You don't have to go do stuff that you think will give you acceptance into certain neighborhoods because you're looking for a family. You're looking for someone just to tell you, you're going to be okay. Reach out, be a big brother, be a big sister. I take care of it. I donate to no-kill shelters just because I think pets are great. I have a dog myself, and she's a rescue, and it took a lot of work to get her to trust me because the family who had her before was very abusive towards her, and it was a black family, and the black man of the house was very abusive towards her. So it took her a while to trust me because I think in her mind I was the same. And now she lays with me on the couch. Now when I come home, her little tail is wagging and she's happy to see me, and that's a huge reward in and of itself. So just remember to take care of the people out there and to take care of the creatures out there who can't take care of themselves. Leave the world a better place than you came into it. And me being on social media, if I can do that, in between roasting people who deserve it. If I can make the world a better place, I do so.
Well, you always brighten my day. I'm going to tell you that. So I believe in you. And I love that we're hearing all sides of you, Zeek. This is proof positive that you can be tough as nails, that you can be as masculine as hell, and then get a beautiful dog to trust you after being abused, and love your 91-year-old grandfather and admire what he's doing for his wife of 69 years. See, I think people think we humans are one or the other, and that is not the case. You can be all kinds of things. You can be all kinds of brave and all kinds of good. And that's why I love talking to you, Zeek. It's always a pleasure.
The pleasure and the privilege is all mine. Thank you so much for having me on.
He is Zeek Arkham. Find him on X at ZeekArkham. You won't be sorry, and we will see you next time.